So today we're going to start again with our first box. It's just like the first box of the other days. This is what type is this sentence? We have four answer choices, four different kinds of sentences that we've been talking about this week. It says declarative. Declarative are the sentences where you're just saying something. Declarative, you're just giving someone facts or details or information. B, interrogative. Those are the ones, one of the types of sentences that have a big hint or a big clue in them. Those ones, if you see a question mark, that's a huge hint that what you have is an interrogative question.
Dad, do
Interrogative
you remember
questions
for homework?
always ask you, or sorry, interrogative sentences always ask you questions. Christopher,
Do I
what was
do
your
mine?
question?
Do I do mine for homework? Because it's still loading.
If it's still loading, just be patient, follow along, Christopher. Imperative sentences. Those are the ones that, honestly, the easiest way it is for me to think about it is I think of mom or dad. Imperative sentences are the kinds of sentences where people are telling you to do something. And they can tell you to do it very nicely. Something like, "Will you please take out the trash?" or "Clean your room, please." Or they could be rude about it. "Clean your room." But imperative sentences are those ones where someone's telling you what to do. And then exclamatory sentences are like interrogative because they have a a hint. If you can find the hint, then it's a big clue. Exclamatory sentences always have an exclamation mark at the end. Exclamatory sentences are when someone is shouting or yelling, and they could be shouting or yelling because they're excited or because they're scared, or maybe they hurt themselves, like if they stub their toe on a table or something. Our sentence for today is, "Where did I leave my umbrella?" So who can tell me what kind of sentence is this? Is it a declarative sentence, an interrogative sentence, an imperative sentence, or an exclamatory sentence? What kind of sentence do we have here? Bailey, what kind of sentence do we have here?
B,
B. Why do you say it's an interrogative sentence?
because it's asking a question.
Perfect. It's asking a question. I see that question mark. That tells me that this is an interrogative sentence. Where did I leave my umbrella? So this one you're not asking somebody else a question. You're kind of asking yourself. You're thinking to yourself, where did I leave that umbrella? Okay. Similes. So similes are when we're comparing two different things. And similes also have those big clues or big hints in them. Similes. You can tell you have a simile, or you get a hint that you have a simile if you see the word like, or if you see the word as. Those are big. Oop, hold on. A little bit too small. Those are big hints that you have similes. Violet, you have a question?
Sorry, we had a power outage.
That's okay, baby. Okay, so we're going to try to find the similes in this box. Standing by the stove, Jessie was warm as toast. What's the simile in that sentence? Standing by the stove, Jessie was warm as toast. Messiah, what do you think? What's the simile in that sentence? Standing by the stove, Jessie was warm as toast.
Where it says Jessie was warm as toast.
Perfect. That's where we have our simile. Put it here. And again, it's going to kind of make it cover up my words, but I can make it transparent when I click on the paint bucket. Click on transparent. Jesse was warm as toast. And Messiah, what two things are they comparing in that sentence? Or in that simile?
Toast.
Toast, and what are they comparing to the toast?
Jesse.
Jesse. So they're not saying that Jesse's a piece of bread, but they're saying that just like toast is warm, Jesse's warm. All right? What about number 2? The football player's shoulders were broad as a building. What's the simile in the second sentence? The football player's shoulders were broad as a building. What simile are they using there? Alexa, what simile are they using? The football player's shoulders were broad as a building.
We're broad as a building.
Were broad as a building. Put my circle here. Broad. Again, I don't want it to cover up my words. So I'm going to click on the paint bucket and click transparent. That way I can see my words. And what two things are they comparing, Alexa?
A building and shoulders.
A building and shoulders. So they're saying the football player is this real big person, and that their shoulders are so wide, it's like when you look at the side of a building, it looks like a huge wall. That's how big the football player's shoulder was. Number 3. The old man's beard was rough as sandpaper. Where's the simile in that sentence? The old man's beard was rough as sandpaper. Christopher, what do you think? What is my simile there? The old man's beard was rough as sandpaper. Oh, I think Christopher stepped away. Okay, get the next one. Who can tell me this one, though? The old man's beard was rough as sandpaper. What's the simile in that sentence? Violet? What's my simile? The old man's beard was rough as sandpaper. What's the simile they're using, Violet?
Sandpaper.
Not just sandpaper. Look for the clues.
What
Like
else?
or as.
Sandpaper and the old man's beard.
Those are the two things they're comparing, but our simile would be there in the middle. Rough as sandpaper. But you're right. They're comparing sandpaper and his beard. So they're saying that his beard isn't one of those ones that's kind of longer and it's nice and soft and fluffy. They're saying if you rub your hand against it that it's gonna like feel really scratchy. Okay, so they compared his beard and sandpaper. I don't know if that's a good thing. Maybe that means he needs to take care of his beard more. Sentence 4. Watching that movie was like watching grass grow. Where's the simile? Watching that movie was like watching grass grow. What do you think, Ezekiel? Where's the simile there? Watching that movie was like watching grass grow.
What's the word?
Remember, we're looking for those clue words, like and as. If you can
Number
find
4.
those, you find the simile.
Like.
Okay, so what do they say around the word like?
Like what?
Like watching grass grow.
Perfect.
Like watching grass grow.
Like watching grass grow. Let me put our circle. Like watching grass. What do you think they mean, Ezekiel, when they say that watching the movie was like watching grass grow?
I think they mean that the movie was beautiful.
Okay, could be beautiful. If it's really nice grass, I agree with you. I think it looks really nice. But if it says watching grass grow, does it grow really quickly, Ezekiel?
No.
No, it takes a while, right?
Right.
It's kind of slow. So maybe they're saying that the movie was like slow. Or I guess if you're watching the grass, do you actually see it getting like longer and longer and longer?
Uh,
Do you think you could?
no.
Probably not. So when they say something like this, they're probably trying to say that the movie wasn't very interesting. It was like looking at nothing. Sometimes people will say it was like watching paint dry. Because if you painted a wall and then you just looked at it and you looked and you looked, kind of like watching the grass grow, it's not going to look any different. It's going to be the same thing. And it's going to take a long time before anything happens. So they're kind of trying to say there that the movie was a little bit boring. Because they were sitting there with their popcorn or whatever and they were waiting and waiting, waiting, and nothing was happening. But I like your idea that maybe it was like when you see the grass moving when it's a little bit windy, maybe they were trying to say it was beautiful. But I think usually when they use this, they're trying to say that the movie wasn't a very good movie, that it was kind of a boring one. Let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit more. Whoa, okay, that should work.
That is way too.
Okay, next box, we have our sentence, and we're going to try to find all of the mistakes that they left in our sentence. Who can find one mistake for me? The sentence says, we're going to the movies with their cousins on Saturday. Ezekiel, you found one?
Uh, we're it's supposed to have a capitalized W and apostrophe.
Perfect.
And
You have two corrections in one. Awesome job. So we're, it's the beginning of the sentence. That's always capitalized, no matter what the word is. And you're right. This kind of we need to have an apostrophe because it's actually a contraction. It's two words that we squish together. It should say we are. And since the A is missing, I need an apostrophe between the E and the R. Okay, so we've got two corrections already, two mistakes we took care of. What are some other mistakes? There's still a few left. Who can find me another one? Brianna, you found one? What's another mistake, Brianna?
Capitalize Saturday.
Capitalize Saturday. If it's the name of a day of the week, you need to have it capitalized. Okay, we're getting there. We got more mistakes that we have to fix. Kylie, you found another one?
Capitalize. Capitalize the W and where.
So Ezekiel said that it's the first word of the sentence needs to be capitalized, but you're right.
Put a period.
Put a period where?
Behind. After Saturday.
After Saturday. It's the end of the sentence. You got to show it's the end. In this case, we'll end it with a period because we're not asking a question and we're not shouting. Messiah, you found another mistake?
change there to there with the IR.
Perfect. This is a homophone. If I use this kind of there, and I'll show you guys a trick for this one. Look at the end of the word, and I'll zoom in real big. Look at the end of that word. H-E-R-E. If you have this at the end, look at the word it spells. It spells here. That kind of there is like when you're talking about a place, when you're pointing over there. I put my backpack over there. Or they're selling shoes over there. But in my sentence, they're not talking about a place. They're saying that they're going to go to the movies and they're going with cousins, somebody's cousins. So they're saying the cousins belong to somebody. Messiah, you're right. When I'm talking about something that belongs to someone else, I don't use the there that says here. I use the one that ends with IR.
I thought it was our.
It could be our, but when it says there, they're saying that it's not my cousins, it's somebody else's cousins. So like if they were going to the movies with their friends and their friend's cousin, it's not our cousin, it's their cousin. Because it's somebody else's.
Okay.
The sentence would still make sense though. It just depends on who's actually going. But I like that you mentioned that, Ezekiel. Depending on who it is, it could be a completely different word. So let's see. We have capital, we, and with an apostrophe, we're going to the movies with their, other kind of their, THEIR, cousins, on, capital, Saturday, period. Good job, guys. We found all those mistakes really quickly today. All right. Now we're going to write some plurals. We've been practicing with this throughout the week. The past couple of days we've had plurals with words that have the letter F at the end. These ones don't, so they're a little bit different. Who can tell me? For glass, what, or I guess how, would I spell the plural of the word glass? How would I spell that? If I didn't just have one glass, like if I had two, oh, sorry, Brianna. I hope it's getting better now. If you have more than one glass, you have 2 or 3 or 4, how would I spell that? Kaylee, how would I spell that?
Glasses.
Okay, and can you spell it for me?
G A
Oh,
G
sorry.
L A S E S.
Perfect. If I have more than one glass, I can't just put an extra S at the end, but then that's just glass. And I sound like a tire that has a hole in it. But if I put ES, then it becomes glasses, and then people know that it's more than one glass. Okay, what about brush? What if I have more than one brush? Christopher, if I have more than one brush, how would I spell that?
BRUSHES.
ES. Just like with glasses. I can't just put an S because my word already ends with the sh sound. If I try to put an S right after that, you wouldn't be able to tell. It'd be sh. And again, I sound like a tire that has a hole poked in it. If I put the ES, then you can hear brushes. And you know that there's more than one brush. Like if you're doing a painting, you usually don't just use one brush. You use maybe 2 or 3. Or maybe even more than that if it's a very complicated painting. What about class? How would I spell class if there's more than one? Kylie, how would I spell that?
CLASSES.
Perfect. Again, just like with glass, it ends with the S. So I can't just put another S and sound like a tire. I need to put ES so you can understand that there's more than one class. All right. And then what about this one? Crash. What if there's more than one crash? How would I spell it? Alexa.
Then one crash, you can put ES so it can make crashes.
Okay. So you're right. I would spell it like normal. But then instead of just putting an S, I have to put ES. So this one was a little bit different because instead of having F at the end, we had either SS, SH. When it's words that end with S or SS, SH, or if it ends with a CH or an X, all of those make that sh or s sound. So we can't just add another S at the end to show that there's more than one. For those words, we have to put ES. That way you can hear the difference. And that way you don't sound like a tire. Right? Last box for today. What change is needed, if any? Let's take a look at our sentence. When we get home, may we play a game? Asked Tony. Okay. We take a look at our answer choices. A says to add a comma after game. Okay, so they're saying that right here, we need to put a comma. B says to change the period to a question mark. So B says that right here, we don't need a period, but we actually need the question mark. C says to add a question mark after game. Okay, so C is saying that we do need a question mark, but it's not here, that it's actually right here. And D says to make no change. It says the sentence is perfect the way it is. Who can tell me what answer choice do you think is best for this sentence? Messiah, what answer choice do you think is best?
B.
B. Why do you say B?
Because it's asking a question.
Okay, it's asking a question. So, Messiah, when you ask a question, do you say this part? Asked Messiah. Not normally, right?
No.
Like when you go to mom or dad and you go, "Hey, can we have pizza tonight?" Asked Messiah. You don't normally have to put that last part, do you? No. So I agree with you. They're asking a question, so a question mark is a good idea. But this isn't part of the question. The question mark needs to go wherever my question stops. So I have to find, where does the question actually stop? What's the last part of that question?
Or it says ask Tony.
So ask Tony. That's not part of his question, right? So what's the last word of that question? Kylie, what's the last word of that question?
Game.
Game. Because his question is over when he says, when we get home, may we play a game? That's it. That's his question. So where do you think the question mark needs to go, Kylie?
After game.
Needs to go after game. So Messiah, I'm glad you realized, hey, they're asking a question. I need a question mark. We just have to be careful about where we put it. So in this one, we're not putting it here where the period goes. We're putting it after game, because that's where his question is done. That's where he's waiting for the answer. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and leave this up here. If you need to go and make any corrections or any changes to your paper, I'm going to give you some time to go ahead and do that. But you guys did really good today.
Can I
We
do
did
mine
this
for homework?
pretty quick and did a good job on this. I'll leave this up for a little bit and let you fix yours if you need to.